Benny, a cute but innocently looking young black boy just finished his exam, is waiting for the results. All his classmates consistently achieve high marks on their class tests, while his scores remain consistently in single digits, making him a subject of mockery among his peers. He perceives himself as the least intelligent person and confides in his mother, expressing his belief that he cannot improve due to his perceived lack of intelligence. However, his mother holds a different perspective. She provides unwavering encouragement, reassuring him that he, too, can achieve remarkable things in life. This is the true story of a living, breathing individual, an extraordinary journey of an ordinary person who defies the odds. Despite enduring repeated instances of ridicule and racial harassment from friends and teachers, Benny manages to bounce back and accomplish what only a genius can. His remarkable journey commences right here, in this classroom, where he, predictably, scores a 0 on his class test once more. A girl mistakenly believes he has scored none, but the class teacher hears it as 9, whereas other students score well above 20. Surprisingly, the teacher appears content with Benny's low score, believing it to be 9, a considerable improvement by Benny's standards. When the class discovers Benny's marks, laughter ensues as if it's a routine occurrence. Unfortunately, this is not the end of his trials. People continue to mock Benny whenever they encounter him. He becomes a target for bullies who harass him relentlessly. Frustration envelops him, as it would for anyone in his position. In a fit of anger, Benny, unable to control his rage, punches a boy while holding a lock, causing him to bleed. The principal summons his mother to his office and discusses the incident with her. He also presents Benny's report card, which is equally worrisome for the concerned mother. Benny's poor academic performance, coupled with these bullying incidents, takes a significant toll on his self-confidence and thought process. He persistently tells his mother, Sonia, that he isn't smart enough. However, his mother serves as an unceasing source of motivation for both Benny and his older brother, Curtis. One day, Benny musters the courage to seek his mother's assistance with his studies. Sonia avoids the situation, citing the need for new reading glasses. Upon investigating further, she discovers that Benny's eyesight is affecting his ability to read small print properly. After obtaining glasses, Benny experiences an immediate improvement in his grades, class test scores, and spelling competition performance. Inspired by a Sunday morning sermon at church, Benny's imagination takes flight as he envisions himself as a doctor battling pirates. This newfound imaginative world opens up new avenues for learning and growth. Upon returning home, Benny shares his aspiration to become a doctor with his mother, transcending his prior disbelief in his own capabilities. A new chapter in his life unfolds, though Sonia isn't entirely pleased. The boys spend a significant amount of time watching television, causing Sonia to feel disheartened. She seeks help at a psychiatric facility to address her growing fears and anxiety, which stem from a tumultuous past that includes early marriage, discovering her husband's other family, and his involvement in drug dealing. Sonia eventually leaves the marriage and raises her sons as a single mother, working as a cleaner to support the family. Yet, she keeps the truth hidden from her children, which takes a toll on her mental health, resulting in depression and even suicidal thoughts. The doctor recognizes her need for professional intervention and suggests that she be admitted for a few days. Reluctantly, she agrees, informing Curtis and Benny that she will be visiting Detroit and leaving them in the care of an elderly woman. She instructs the boys to memorize their multiplication tables, despite their protests. When Sonia arrives at the hospital, she discovers a letter from Benny among her belongings, full of spelling mistakes but deeply moving. Overwhelmed with emotion, Sonia rushes back home to reunite with her boys. Meanwhile, Benny continues to excel in his studies, achieving scores of 24 out of 25 on class tests. Sonia excitedly shares the news with their caregiver, Scott, but is surprised to find her mother back home. They embrace, and Benny proudly displays his marks to her. Sonia, visibly proud and content, continues to motivate and support Benny's educational journey. Sonia, in search of better opportunities, secures cleaning work at a home belonging to an educated and compassionate individual. She is astonished to find a vast room filled with numerous books. Upon returning home, she discovers her sons watching television and promptly turns it off. She announces that the boys can only watch 2 television programs per week, after completing their homework. Despite their initial frustration, the boys heed their mother's advice, enroll in a library, and cultivate a love for reading. They also incorporate learning from television, such as watching educational quiz shows. Benny reaps immediate benefits from this newfound passion for learning. During a class discussion, when the teacher presents a rock, only Benny, initially hesitant, confidently identifies it as obsidian and goes on to explain the formation process. The teacher, astonished by Benny's depth of knowledge, encourages him to speak further after class. Benny meets with the teacher, who believes he has unlocked his true potential, an affirmation that carries significant weight when coming from a trusted teacher. Throughout his educational journey, Benny excels in spelling and even wins the spelling competition in his class. However, his class teacher's apparent unhappiness is palpable. Nonetheless, she concedes to Bernie's victory. Unfortunately, her hidden biases and racism surface during the school's annual award ceremony when the principal recognizes Benny as the best student overall. Benny's mother and brother, proud and beaming, are in the audience. Bernie receives his certificate, but the class teacher, in a deeply racist statement, insinuates that the other students should feel ashamed for not achieving more than Benny. Sadly, she cannot see beyond her prejudiced perspective to appreciate Benny's true talents. This incident deeply rattles Benny's mother, Sonia, and she decides to enroll him in a school where his talents will be recognized and appreciated regardless of his skin color. She secures admission for him in a school where the majority, if not all, of the students are black. Initially, Benny faces bullying due to his outdated clothing that doesn't conform to his generation's fashion trends. He requests money from his mother for new attire, but she reluctantly provides funds for a new pair of pants. Benny's dissatisfaction with his appearance leads to arguments with his mother. He yearns for fashionable clothing like his friend, the fashionista, but Sonia disapproves, asserting that those who prioritize fashion often lack substance. Benny becomes furious during one such argument and impulsively grabs a hammer that his mother was using to repair a window, threatening her. Curtis intervenes, averting a potential disaster. Subsequently, Benny falls in with a group of friends who introduce him to a gang, where he acquires a knife. During an argument within the gang, Benny's friend insults him, prompting Benny to use the knife in a moment of anger. Fortunately, no serious harm results as the knife was already damaged. Frightened by the incident, Benny flees the school, inadvertently leaving behind the toxic friendship. This turn of events ultimately proves to be a blessing in disguise. Benny learns from his past mistakes, gains control over his temper, and distances himself from harmful associations. With determination and effort, he secures a scholarship to the prestigious Yale College. At Yale, he encounters his girlfriend, Candy, but struggles to find motivation for his studies and attendance in class, feeling disconnected from the lectures. He confides in Candy, expressing his discomfort with the lectures and a lack of enthusiasm for attending classes. Candy assists him, suggesting that he can study independently. He dedicates himself to his studies day and night, with chemistry posing the most significant challenge. He works so diligently that he begins to experience hallucinations, envisioning the chemistry professor writing formulas on the board. His relentless efforts pay off in the exam, and he excels, cementing his desire to become a neurosurgeon. He applies to Johns Hopkins, the most prestigious institution in the United States, which only accepts 2 resident students for its neurosurgery program due to fierce competition. Bernie remains resolute in his determination to gain admission only to Johns Hopkins and applies nowhere else. He undergoes an interview during which his confidence impresses the interviewing doctor. When asked why he aspires to be a neurological surgeon, Bernie responds that the brain is a mysterious organ he wants to explore, believing in the potential for miracles. His confidence leaves a lasting impression, and he secures admission, continuing to excel at Johns Hopkins. Despite his professional success, Bernie faces opposition from some colleagues. A senior doctor criticizes him, making racially charged remarks and instructing him, now known as Dr. Carson, to follow orders. He starts as a resident doctor and faces a pivotal moment when an emergency case arrives, requiring immediate surgery. With no licensed doctors available, Dr. Carson takes the risk of operating, saving the patient's life but jeopardizing his career. His actions lead to a meeting with his senior, where he expects reprimand but is instead praised for his life-saving efforts. Dr. Carson's hospital duties continue with similar challenges. He encounters a young girl with frequent seizures, whom other doctors have labeled as having intellectual disabilities. Dr. Carson diagnoses her condition and proposes a hemispherectomy, a risky procedure that could potentially paralyze or impair her. He assures the parents that the brain can recover and compensate for lost functions, although it remains a gamble. Dr. Carson takes on the challenge, displaying anxiety the night before the operation. He prays before successfully performing the operation. The girl regains consciousness and calls out to her parents, marking a miraculous recovery. This achievement garners media attention during a press conference, where Dr. Carson celebrates the success and praises the brain's miraculous capabilities. Despite professional success, his personal life faces hardships as he loses a stillborn child. Supported by his mother, he continues his work. Dr. Carson faces his most daunting challenge when invited to consult on the separation of conjoined twins with fused heads in Germany. Initially hesitant due to the complexity, he accepts the task, conducting extensive research and preparations. The operation day arrives. Dr. Carson, alongside a team of 50 staff members, undergoes rigorous preparations, rehearsing meticulously to minimize the margin for error in this highly complex procedure. The operation, involving cardiothoracic surgeons, begins at 7:15 in the morning. The first step is to halt blood circulation to the brain to prevent bleeding. Then, the intricate process of separating the brains begins. Dr. Carson has only 1 hour to complete this phase to avoid the risk of brain death. He successfully completes the procedure within the allotted time, taking an arduous 22-hour period in total. Dr. Carson delivers the news of the successful complex operation to the twins' parents. They are overjoyed to see their children surviving the operation. They thank Dr. Ben and the movie ends. Click on the next video and keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe the channel for more.